Hello folks, Anahita Rao. Today I'm going to speak about a transit that is coming up soon, next month. So in September we will see Jupiter going retrograde. This is an important transit because Jupiter has been moving closely with Rahu. And it's during this retrograde phase that Rahu will exit Aries and go into Pisces. But why it's important to talk about this? Because when Jupiter goes retrograde, it starts moving towards Rahu. So the dates. Jupiter retrograde begins on September the 4th at 21 degrees Aries in Parani, ends December 31st at 11 degrees Aries in the nakshatra of Ashwini. So let's get into this. Now, generally speaking, Jupiter retrograde is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to take a leap of faith. It's an opportunity to trust in that we cannot see, that we cannot comprehend. And during this particular retrograde, that's going to be even more important, because of the connection that it will make to Rahu. So it's an excellent time for reflection. You will be going back to some of the issues that came up when Jupiter started its transit in Aries, where Rahu has been transiting for more than a year, which was back in mid-April, right? So from mid-April to approximately mid-June, the issues that had come up at that time, now they may resurface, and you will have to just trust that whatever the outcome is, it's going to be in your benefit in the long term. Because Jupiter energy is intensified and it's internalized during a retrograde, it can be felt as a time of deep philosophical questioning. And again, this might be related to the issues that came up in that phase that I was talking about, right, in the springtime. This questioning that you may indulge in at this time will extend to all of the areas that Jupiter rules in your chart, as well as you have to see where Aries falls in the chart to get a hint of what you can expect. And more importantly, if Jupiter is connecting with any planets sitting in Aries, sitting in Ashwini, sitting in Parani, then you have to see, what does that planet rule for you, to understand what could come up. An interesting thing to note about this retrograde phase is that the same day that Jupiter goes retrograde, Venus goes direct. And of course, this is relevant. It's relevant because Jupiter is transiting in Parani, whose controlling planet is Venus. At the same time of the retrostation, Jupiter receives the aspects, the malefic aspects of Mars, of Saturn, of Rahu. So we can see that it's a challenging beginning. It's also very, very close in conjunction with the moon when it begins the retrograde phase. The moon is also in Parani at this time, and both of them are moving towards each other. Now, in and of itself, that's not necessarily a good thing for Jupiter and Moon to be moving in conjunction so tight towards each other. But what's good here is that the Moon will absorb the impact of Rahu, right? Because the Moon will be between Jupiter and Rahu. So that's a good thing. But it doesn't help. It doesn't help in the sense that it helps the significations of Jupiter because the Moon is coming in the way. But it doesn't help the mind in the sense that you might be a little bit restless, anxious, rattled about something, right? With the Moon and Jupiter together like this, we do, however, have the formation of a Gaja-Kesari Yoga happening at the time that Jupiter goes retrograde. The results are modified, obviously, because of the malefic aspects. But nonetheless, see where Aries falls in your chart to get a hint of where you can see this yoga manifest during this retrograde cycle. Right? The 5 days before and after retrograde are the most potent. So that's when the events can easily manifest. And you can get like a hint of what's to come. Right? And this is especially the case if you're in Jupiter Dasha, if you're in Jupiter Antardasha. Jupiter retrograde provides a time when you can easily go inward to experience greater awareness. You could also begin to see things in a new light and discover previously mixed blessings. You may have a realization of your good fortune in a situation that seemed too difficult to handle before. And in this way, you could feel a sense of gratefulness, right? So the retrograde phase has the power to increase your faith in this way. But of course, remember, this is not a unique event, right? Every year this happens. Similar to Saturn, Jupiter goes retrograde for approximately 4 months every year. Retrograde calculation is known as Chestabal. What does that mean? Chestabal can be seen as our stamina. It's the ability to make efforts with forceful results. That's why retrograde planets are regarded as more powerful than direct, right? What I like about this retrograde phase is that Jupiter doesn't return to the previous sign of Pisces, because that's never a good omen. It maintains its position in Aries. It will, however, go from Bharani to Ashwini, but mostly it's going to be in Bharani. So, Bharani themes will get activated now. Relationships will be the area where you will see that death and rebirth theme. Sudden endings, sudden beginnings will feature. Jupiter impacting Bharani, leaving behind unhealthy relationships, is key because of the connection. And we know that this is also the case with Venus. Venus has been transiting in Ashlesha, right? So you can tie it into that there. The important thing also is to practice some level of restraint in relationships. So go slow, hold back your judgment about others, reserve your opinions about others, don't make assumptions about others. This is the kind of restraint that would be very helpful during Jupiter's transit through Bharani, whether it's in your work or whether it's in your personal life. Because it's Bharani, relationships will go through changes. You could also be forced to accept your situation in a bad relationship or in a bad attachment at this time. This could be a time when you reconnected with someone from the past and realized that indeed you made the right choice to move on and not be involved further with this person. Or someone could appear in your life and you feel an instant connection with this person. like a deep resonance. At the time of retrograde, Jupiter makes a close conjunction to the moon, as we spoke about, right? And Rahu's also there. The other aspects happening at the time of the retrograde is the trinal aspect. Jupiter makes a trinal aspect to both the Sun and Mercury, situated in Leo at this time. With a close connection to the Sun and Moon by Jupiter, it suggests that it's going to be an excellent transit to reflect on what you need, on what you desire. Your life path, fulfillment, purpose, where does it come from? These are the things that are good to ponder at this time. Moon conjunct Jupiter may also mean that there's a big change in your domestic situation. Something that you have been avoiding perhaps, but now you have to kind of face it. Sun being in trine with Jupiter is a fortunate connection. The solar energy, of course, blends very well with Jupiter, right? Personal growth, spiritual growth can come through studies. It can come through travel, anything that broadens your outlook on life. You can also feel very generous with others, making this an ideal time to help those that are less fortunate than yourself. Jupiter retrograde Mercury may bring some challenges in communication during this transit. So write things down to get some clarity. It's a good omen to return to business or legal transactions that you had started, and now you can get some closure on those transactions. Excellent time though for setting off on a journey, returning to a place that you've been to before. Good time generally for traveling, for learning a new subject, going deeper within yourself. If you do any sort of charitable gesture, it will come back tenfold at this time. Around the time when Jupiter is turning retrograde, give or take a few days, and around the time when Jupiter is turning direct, give or take a few days, right? Those are the times that are excellent for Jupiter remedies, especially to donate to any phase of education, financially adopt a child, donate to teachers or spiritual organizations, donate to humanitarian organizations, that kind of thing, yeah? I've actually updated my website for donations, so have a look at that. Again, I mentioned this on the website and I'm going to mention it here. I don't have any affiliation with these charities. It's just something that I've come across and I've liked and therefore I mention, but no connection whatsoever, yeah? So let's see what's happening in the sky when Jupiter is turning direct on December the 31st. December the 31st, Jupiter not only aspects the same trio, Sun, Moon, and Mars, they're all situated in the Dharma Trikona at this time. 159, yeah? It's again at this time forming close trinal aspects with the Sun and the Moon, which is fortunate. Connecting with planets that Jupiter has an affinity with can bring blessings in those areas impacted by the Sun in your chart. So see what the Sun rules in your chart. It suggests positive growth. I really like the aspects that are happening at the time that Jupiter turns direct, especially for fire signs, especially if you're a fire sign like Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, for whom this year could have felt very pressurized, right? Because there's so many planets, especially with Aries and Leo, so many planets impacting you. At the time of the direct motion, there's a Parivartan happening between Jupiter and Mars. This is very kind of go-getter energy. So all matters related to Jupiter get a forward momentum with that connection, that Parivartan. Right? So overall, it's an auspicious connection at the direct motion on December the 31st. So let's talk about the signs very briefly. I'm not going to get too detailed about it because I don't think that it's particularly important. I think it's more important to understand the themes that may come up. But let's talk about it. So Aries, Jupiter goes retrograde in your first house. You can be questioning many things in your life, including your life purpose, your status. It's good. It's a very good time for you to reflect on important matters, including marriage, business, life goals, because of all of the planets that have been aspecting Aries. The matters that you dealt with from April till June now will resurface and get resolved once and for all. It's 12th Lord in the first house. So you can now have dealings with people from foreign countries, right? Personal life, work life. If you have a spiritual practice, this can fine-tune that intuition to guide you in these matters at this time. It's a good time to reconnect with your guru, if you have a guru. And in fact, I'm going to be doing that Jupiter during this Jupiter retrograde. So I'm quite excited about that. Relationship with children may face some ups and downs at this time. It's a great yoga happening for you when Jupiter goes direct. Exchange of the 9th and the 1st Lord. It's a lucky time for you. By the time you get to the year end, your life will look very different, right? And from November, with Rahu's influence being over, right? Rahu would have moved to Pisces by November. So life will look up for you and luck factors really open up because Jupiter can function alone in Aries. And this is especially the case if you're an Aries lagna. Yeah. That's what's happening. For Taurus, Jupiter moves through your 12th house. This is the house of loss. So take care of your health, especially your mental health, with Jupiter and Rahu in the 12th. It's a difficult transit because that Rahu's presence there as well. 12th is, of course, the house of isolation, seclusion, charity, but also expenses. So you may see your expenses curbed at this time. Dreams, visions, and messages from the astral world will be available. So pay attention to your inner voice. Answers to the big life questions can also come through dreams, so pay attention to them. Great time to let go of things. People, possessions, ideas, outdated thoughts, destructive thoughts. Okay? If you wanted to relocate abroad or take trips to unknown places, excellent time for that. With this aspect on your 4th and 8th house, there could be some ups and downs in property matters in your domestic life, joint resources that you share with your partner. So, good time to connect with a spiritual practice, take a pilgrimage, or go to a retreat. Your intuition can be also very sharp at this time. So for Gemini, Jupiter retrogrades in your 11th house. 11th house represents gains of all kinds. So this may slow down. This may slow down in your life at this time. It's a good yoga, though, for wealth-building activities. But being in retrograde, you can see some reversals and just a general slowdown for a while. Old friends, old connections can come back into your life. Excellent phase for making a list of goals that you wanted to achieve. With this aspect on your 3rd and 7th house, you could face some changes in your relationship with your partner, with your siblings, right, at this time. Career matters can face some challenge, but the reformations here will be beneficial for you. Though you may not see that until much later, until a few months later. Positive aspect to your Lagna Lord, beginning and the end of the retrograde period, suggests the changes and perhaps the reversals will prove to be for your best. Cancer, for you, what's happening? Jupiter has been moving through your 10th house, so your career will continue to see positive changes. There could be a career opportunity that comes back into your life, something unusual. Be willing to take some risks. Good time to reconnect with mentors at this time who will help you with your life path. Be careful about your relationship with bosses, persons in authority. It's a good yoga for any wealth-building activities, but being in retrograde, you could see some reversals here and a general slowdown, and you may be seeking other ways to achieve your goals. It's fortunate connection to your Lagna Lord in the beginning and in the end of the transit. It means that this is a very productive transit for you if you go back and you make revisions. Leo, for you, retrograde is happening in 9th house. Good time to review your life path, life purpose, what gives you joy. Travel could be necessary at this time and can come up quite suddenly. If you do travel, it will be very beneficial. Good time to build your qualification, skills. Ninth house is house of advisors, of guides. So at this time, you could take advice and guidance from experts. In this regard, you could have some aha moments, right? Like by seeing an old problem under a new light. You may be having some self-doubts and fears that come to the surface about life in general, and be feeling uncertain due to its aspect on your first house. But because Jupiter is positively aspecting your Lagna Lord Sun at the start and at the end, this is an auspicious transit for you. Even if there are unexpected factors to deal with, right? Jupiter, after all, is 8th Lord. So, now, the changes because of that you can feel a little bit rattled by it, but you're going to realize later that it's actually quite beneficial. Okay, so Virgo. For you, Jupiter retrogrades into your 8th house. 8th house is what? Fear. It's obsession. So some of these can get resolved at this time. You can get excellent results from spiritual practice to clear away any confusion, because you would have been going through confusion with Rahu and Jupiter in that 8th house. Nature retreat can help, but you may be very, very restless and not be able to even sit still. So, learning about occult, deep healing modalities, excellent time for that. Intuition will be sharp. There will be a feeling that divine help comes your way when you need it. Overall, a good time for any self-awareness initiatives. If you're doing research, it's an excellent time for that. You may find an answer to any chronic ailments you have been suffering. Rahu there can cause some confusion or misdiagnosis of the situation. So I would say take care until November. Don't make big decisions in regards to health matters. Because Jupiter is positively aspecting Lagna Lord Mercury at the start and at the end of retrograde, it's an auspicious transit overall. Yeah. Libra, Jupiter will be retrograding in the 7th house. Great time to renew old connections. It's also a good time to review your relationships and come to a conclusion about the ones that are very important to you. There may be a break or separation now if the relationship was already troubled. You may meet someone that you deeply connect with very instantly in this retrograde phase. It can also be with someone with whom you had an old connection coming back into your life. It could also have a feeling of a past life connection, but it would be a deep resonance with this person. Again, as I said, it could be someone you've severed ties with in the past too. With business partnerships, if there are areas you need to renegotiate, this will be a good time for that. Your earnings from business ventures may slow down. Good time to plan travel and relocation at this time. Scorpio, what's happening for you? For you, retrograde transit is in your 6th house. It's not an easy place to host Jupiter. It can bring some problems back into your life. So you have to resolve them once and for all. It aspects the 2nd and 10th house. You could find working hard is not bringing the results that it normally does. So you may be like putting in your 100%, but you're only getting back like 30%. So that it can feel frustrating. Daily routines can go through a reformation. You can develop a better routine. Excellent time to review the routines in your life. Are they healthy? Are they productive? Great time to explore a new health regimen. See which foods are healing. Good time to have a health checkup. Visit a nutritionist or create a good diet. If you're thinking about going back to the gym or to the yoga studio, it's an excellent time for that. This transit can help you change your lifestyle in a positive way. Great time to spend with your pets if you have any. Okay, so for Sagittarius, For you, Jupiter is going retrograde in your 5th house. This is a great transit to reflect on everything that makes you happy, that brings you joy, that which connects you to your higher purpose, your inner calling, in essence. Here, Jupiter here is confident in the 5th house, creative, can channel divine intelligence. But with Rahu there, you can get confused signals. So it's very important to reflect and not come to quick decisions, right? Slow down on any speculative gambling activities, any speculative activities. It's not a good time for investments or starting a business. 5th house is house of promotion. So you could go back to ask your boss for a promotion or apply for jobs where you can get a salary hike. This would be a time to do that, actually. You can change your appearance, your image in some way. If you're single, this is a time where old connections will return to your life. Even if you're not single, this could happen. This transit can bring lots of ideas about your general life direction. Pay attention to your inner voice to choose wisely. So for Capricorn, for you, this transit is happening in your 4th house. So it could mean a residential move. Some changes in your home can come up now. Great time to reconnect with your family. Good time to search for a profitable property investment. Good time for studying a new subject. 4th house represents comforts, also represents mother, luxuries, cars, land, property. Your traditional philosophies can now make sense. It's a good time to visit your birthplace. If you marry now, then your spouse can provide a strong emotional anchor for you. You could see some changes in your domestic life, certainly at this time. Aquarius, for you, Jupiter moves retrograde into your 3rd house. Good time to reflect on how to improve your own business. It's not a place Jupiter is particularly helpful. So going retrograde will help you think creatively. The 3rd house signifies entrepreneurial efforts, including online projects. So these matters will slow down. But if you're returning to a project you already started, you will be pleased with the results. You may reconnect with younger siblings, especially if you lost this connection in the past. 3rd house also represents subconscious mind. This can make you feel restless and agitated. Petty issues can crop up, so be aware of this. Pisces, for you, Jupiter goes retrograde into your 2nd house. You could be reworking your finances. You may not get the support you need from your family at this time. Unexpected expenses can come up. See if you can avoid, big expenses and be careful of not being too wasteful. You could look into a secondary source of income. This is an excellent time to explore that. You could also look into inheritances, support from your family, like your partner especially. Because from your family, it may not be forthcoming, but from your partner, it would be. You may get sudden opportunities to make money at this time. Investments especially. But I would say, wait till Rahu moves away. Wait till Rahu moves away to take some big steps. So that's all for now, everyone. If you like the video, please share, comment, and subscribe. All the best.